So moving on to the main colors and the main content of the workshop today. Not sure how many of you actually are familiar with review. Okay, if you are very new to this view, let's go through what review is about. If you have been writing reviews for a long time, then just take it as revisions. By the way, you can stop me anytime if you have any worries during the talk. So what's a review? So for many of the beginning writers, they take a review as a summary of literatures they can find in databases. However, this is not entirely accurate. So sometimes reviews being written to provide historical context of research field, and also allow authors to express their opinion of future trajectory of a field and to inspire the readers about their own research. And for many beginners writer, reviews is a great way to exercise that skill in writing. A good review, however, is not the characteristic or qualities of a good review, however, is not being well understood by many of the writers. Apart from providing a comprehensive summary of literatures and enhance the comprehension of readers about research field, a review is usually a product of one's unique informed perspective. Okay, meaning that after taking in the dozen of studies, after reading that dozen of studies, what is your own perspective regarding that field? And that perspective is what make the review unique in comparison to other review in the field. I'm sure that people have written a dozen review about the topic of interest. However, what makes your review interesting is your own perspective, your own opinion on that field. And of course, nowadays, because the high requirement of scientific standard, we also hope that reviews being produced by scientific methods in research so that the literature included are not biased. And scoping review or systematic review are methods to produce an unbiased literature review. So this is an example of reviewers' comment on one of our reviews recently. Okay, so by reading through this comment, you understand what the reviewer wants of a review. So talk about this. The first sentence of a comment is usually the summary of our study. So you see that this manuscript report a review for non-coding RNA's role in esophageal cell squamous carcinoma. However, there are still some concern. First, in comparison with previous report, the main content of this field has been reported before. This implies that the reviewers still require something new in our review. We cannot just repeat whatever that's been said before. So what is new regarding our review? This has to be justified in the introductions and be reflected in our content as well. Secondly, a summary table should be given to summarize the findings. Okay, so here the reviewers are asking us to demonstrate any effort in summarizing and synthesizing the available data. Okay, we must demonstrate the ability to summarize inside the finding for whatever we have read. Okay, and then lastly, the perspective of this field should also be given. So this is the way of review asking us to provide our own unique perspective on this field, without which we cannot differentiate our review compared to previous review of similar topic. Okay, so clearly, when we think about review, it is not something. It's not just a summary. Okay, everyone can summarize. Okay, even from 5 students, we have learned to summarize from long passages, right? So we have to be able to demonstrate novelty in our review, and then to be able to summarize, synthesize, and then provide our own perspective in our review. So these are some of the common type of review that you will encounter, okay, in your readings, in your literature search, and things like that. Okay, so you might be familiar with some of the review type, but let's go through them one by one. Okay, first, narrative review is a very common type of review that you encounter. Okay, in the literatures. It is a comprehensive background of the research field, highlighting the significant new research and identifying research gap and consistency in knowledge. And that actually based this kind of criteria or qualities actually apply to every kind of review. However, narrative review is without a literature search methodology. They usually do not report the literature search methodology in the review. So the disadvantage of narrative review, there's no specific search criteria, there's no specific criteria of article inclusions, and this create potential biases, for example, selection biases, because the reader do not understand why certain literatures are being included in the literature review. For most of the journal nowadays, the narrative review are usually crafted by experts in the field, because for an author to be after an author has been recognized or invited by the journal editor to produce an editorial review for that journal, usually the authors are given credit. Being an expert in the field, he or she will know the landmark studies in the field and what is the significant update in the research field. So he or she is given trust to select the best evidence in the field to be included in the review. However, for most of us who are beginners, we do not have the credential. Okay, we do not have the credential, so it's a bit hard for us to produce how do I say, credible or trustworthy narrative review to be accepted by high-ranking journal. It's not that it's impossible, but it's a bit hard nowadays. So again, I say when I first started out, and when my earlier student first started out, we know nothing about systematic review. We know nothing about scoping review. So we do write narrative review. Okay, when we first started out. However, you do have to understand that the publication landscape is very different 10 years ago, and compared to our publication landscape now. Okay. So this is a review, first review actually by my first master students, and being the first paper of someone who have never write review before, I remember I have to tear this review apart and then unscramble it, piece it together to become proper review. Okay, that being said, this review, the first review by my master students, have been cited more than 100 times, according to Scopus and Google Scholar. Okay. The trick is that it is a very fundamental topic. Okay. If you were to write a narrative review, okay, if you were to write a narrative review, go fundamental. Choose a very fundamental topic. For topics that are very, very fundamental, it is impossible to, how do I say, to use systematic or scoping methodology for the literature search, because you'll be ending up with hundreds and hundreds and thousands of studies regarding fundamental topic. So it is quite impossible to include all that thousands of studies into your review. So you can choose the landmark studies and the latest studies in the field to be included in your reviews. And by going fundamental as well, you increases your chance of being cited. for example, in this case. Okay, so any random authors who would like to discuss about androgen and bone health, they will cite this review. Okay, so there's a trick nowadays. Like if you want to write a narrative review, go very fundamental for it to be acceptable and then for it to be cited. Next, we have systematic review. The purpose is to provide a comprehensive list of studies available in the topic and to identify, critically evaluate, and synthesize all the issues available in the field. So in this case, for systematic review, the time frame, method to search, evaluate, and synthesize the findings in the research field are determined prior to search. And nowadays, most of the journal requires systematic review protocol to be published for your review to be accepted later on. Okay, even for journal like DPI, they will require you to review the protocol to be registered first before your review can be accepted into the journal. Okay, so just like a proper research, systematic review require you to formulate your research question first, and based on the research question, you set your inclusion and exclusion criteria, and then based on this criteria, you select and also choose literature. And most importantly, systematic review require you to assess the quality of literature available. Okay, and it is a compulsory step in systematic review because we only want the best evidence in the field. Okay, and after passing all the filter, the finally included studies are being analyzed, synthesized, and disseminated. So this is examples review produced by a team in UCAM. Okay. So and there are some elements, compulsory elements in systematic review, including prescribed flowchart, as you can see here. The quality assessment, okay, is compulsory for systematic review, and then the evidence table. So after constructing a systematic review, if the data or the information obtained from the systematic review are quite homogeneous, especially when the quantitative data are quite homogeneous and the measurements are quite uniform, there is a chance for the author to proceed with meta-analysis. Okay, so it's usually done after systematic review and involves a statistical analysis in order to integrate or combine the findings of all relevant studies and enhance understanding of the readers on the topic. And it can help to detect patterns and relationship between findings. There are multiple tools or even Excel sheet to help you to construct meta-analysis. We used to use a review manager, published by Cochrane to integrate to do the meta-analysis. However, Review Manager used to be a free software. Nowadays, it's no longer free. Okay, you have to pay a fee. You have to pay a fee to use Review Manager nowadays. And we also are currently trying to explore doing the meta-analysis using R package, which is the only free options right now. Okay. So in terms of meta-analysis, it actually produces highest ranking evidence in the hierarchy of evidence, okay, because it is able to integrate the findings of individual studies. So again, this example of systematic review and meta-analysis, as I said, it always come together. And meta-analysis contain all the previous elements I've introduced in systematic review, and the results are being reported in forest plot. As you can see, if you are first time of you encountering meta-analysis, you can see that these square boxes are individual studies. When the effects are being combined, it is presented by the diamond shape box. Okay. And when the individual boxes or the diamond shape box cross the vertical line of no effect, meaning that the effect is not significant. However, if it doesn't cross, it means that the effect is significant. Either it favors or either it's worse or better. Okay. For qualitative persons, not sure whether any of you are doing qualitative studies. You are not there's no access of you to quantitative data. So instead of doing a meta-analysis, you'll be doing meta-synthesis. So it is a non-statistical technique to integrate, evaluate, interpret findings of multiple qualitative studies. So the researcher had to identify common core elements and themes in the studies and transform individual findings to new conceptualization interpretations. But frankly say, I'm not a qualitative person, so not expert in the meta-synthesis. It's also preceded by a systematic review first, and then you integrate all the concept through a meta-synthesis. But here, we are not dealing with quantitative data. So it is mainly through identifying common concept and then transform them into a core concept, integrating all the studies available. So where does scoping review lies? Okay, we'll be talking about major type review, but there's no science scoping review. Okay, scoping review is actually extensions of systematic review. Okay, the function of scoping review is actually to map key concept in the research area, the main sources and type of evidence available. Okay, it is able to synthesize, it actually provides synthesis analysis of evidence from a wide range of material to provide clarity about a specific topic. And usually, scoping review is used to map heterogeneous data sources or studies of varying design. For example, if we are talking about preclinical studies, we have cellular studies, we have animal studies, we have human studies. So design are quite varied, and it's not easy to integrate all this design into using a systematic review method, because the meta assessments will be very different from moving from one study type to another. Okay, so basically, it map the evidence produced from heterogeneous sources rather than seeking only the best evidence to map to answer a research question. So in this case, the quality is not important. Okay, we can criticize the quality of the evidence available in our discussions. However, we do not eliminate studies based on their quality. So it's not as stringent as systematic review. Okay, but these are the how does the official statement about the nature and also definition of scoping review. For me, in simpler terms, scoping review map what has been done regardless of study design and depth of the investigations. For students, actually sound like chapter 2 of the thesis. Okay. So this is why we do encourage postgraduate students to do a scoping review, because it enable them to explore a new field. Sometimes it doesn't provide much evidence, and it allows them to have a bird's eye view on the entire research field to identify the research gap to be bridged, and it's less problematic because the critical appraisal step is optional. And registration of scoping review is also optional, because just now when we talk about systematic review, we mentioned that systematic review protocol has to be registered first before the publications of the full paper. However, so far, we have not encountered journal which make registration of scoping review compulsory. Okay, even the website for systematic review registrations for Sparrow do not entertain the registration of scoping review. You cannot register scoping review for Sparrow actually. But if you really want to, there are other free website for you to register the protocol or scoping review. If you really want to. If in any case a journal require you to do so, there is a possibility for you to register and make it open. So what are the differences between scoping review and system review? So scoping review, the nature is actually to explore, to map, to understand what are out there, what is under the sun, what the kind of evidence that is available on this topic in the scientific research. So we want to know everything about this topic. However, for systematic review, the nature is more on validation. You want to know the answer to that research questions using the best evidence available. The research questions adopted by a scoping review usually is very broad, and for systematic review, it's very narrow. Uh, Manpower for both kind of review, you need two or more than two authors to construct the authors review because we do not recommend that selections process, this screening process to conduct by a single person. If possible by 2% and above. Okay. Finding appraiser is not necessarily for scoping review, but it is required in systematic review. The type of study to be included in scoping review usually there's no restrictions. And for systematic review, it is we recommend to include human studies, observational, interventional. However, this is not to say that animal studies cannot be written as a systematic review because we have done that before. Okay, so but for most of the medical science topic, we recommend to include only human studies. So both kind of review, scoping and systematic share some similarity in terms that that both need research questions that need research protocol to be established before research. We need to construct evidence table for both kind of review, and we need to provide insight to the data in the form of discussions in the full paper data. Okay, so is there a certain guideline for scoping review? You must have heard about PRISMA for systematic review, right? And meta-analysis. So we do have a certain guideline for scoping review, and it is available in the PRISMA website, okay, under the scoping sections. And this is the appearance of the website. And if you look at the website, you can see that there's a checklist available in PDF on Word. So usually we will download this checklist and attach it as a supplementary material for scoping review. Okay, this is the first page of the checklist. Okay, so it requires all these things to be available in the manuscript, and you need to report the page where all these elements can be found on the manuscript. Okay, you just see this is a Word file, right? So you can write down the page where the element appear on your manuscript. And we usually submit this checklist together with our scoping review as a supplementary material to support the notions that our scoping review are constructed based on the PRISMA checklist. For some of the journal, it is compulsory to submit this checklist, without which your review would not be accepted. Okay, some of the publisher that I'm aware of, for example, Bentham, we have submitted scoping with Bentham publisher before. The submission of this checklist is almost compulsory for it to pass the editorial stage. Okay, so I'm giving you an example here in this scoping review that we publish. You can see that in the material, the starting of the material methodology sections, This scoping review was performed according to the preferred reporting item for scoping review and meta-analysis extension for scoping review PRISMA guideline. Okay, we cite the website. And no, there's no mention checklist here, but usually we'll put a bracket here, supplementary table 1. Okay, and then we'll put that table there. So the greatest concern to all of you are scoping reviews publishable. Okay. So you invest all the energy to attend this workshop to write, design and write a scoping review. Are they publishable? Okay. So from our experience, they are publishable. Okay, they are publishable. Okay, and I'm showing you all these titles scoping review that we have published before. Not to flaunt about them, but just want to show you that your effort will not be wasted, and they are indeed publishable. Okay, in various journals. Some of them like nutrients Q1, life and pharmaceutical Q2. Some are Q3 journals, what's Q1 now. Okay,